Whenever someone asks me how I decide which crypto to invest in, my first answer is always this: research. Not hype, not YouTube thumbnails, not what's trending on Twitter. Real research. Because in crypto, the difference between doubling your money and losing it all often comes down to whether you took the time to dig beneath the surface. So today I want to walk you through exactly how I research a crypto project before I ever put a single dollar into it. This is the process I've refined over the years, through bull markets, through bear markets, through making mistakes and learning lessons. I'll share everything: the red flags I look for, the signs of strength that give me confidence, and how I separate marketing fluff from genuine innovation. And by the end, you'll see that researching crypto isn't just about finding the next moonshot. It's about protecting yourself, making informed decisions, and understanding the story behind the token. When I first hear about a project, maybe someone mentions it in a Discord group, maybe I see it trending on a chart, maybe a friend tells me about it, the very first thing I do is go directly to the source, the website and the white paper. This sounds obvious, but you'd be shocked how many people skip this step. The website tells you right away how professional the team is, how clearly they communicate, and what their vision looks like. Is it polished? Is it clear? Or is it full of buzzwords and vague promises? A sloppy website is not always a deal breaker, but it's a sign to be cautious. Then there's the white paper. Now, not everyone wants to read a 20-page technical document, but I'll tell you why I do. The white paper is the project's blueprint. It should explain the problem they're solving, the technology behind it, and the tokenomics. If it's missing, poorly written, or just copy-pasted jargon, that's a huge red flag. If they can't explain clearly what they're building, chances are they don't really know themselves. Once I've got the basics, I ask myself, what problem is this project solving? This is crucial. Crypto is full of coins that exist just to exist, with no real reason for being. The strongest projects are the ones that address a real pain point. Maybe it's Ethereum scaling issues, maybe it's cross-chain interoperability, maybe it's privacy, maybe it's user experience. If the project doesn't clearly identify a problem and how they solve it better than existing solutions, I don't waste time. For example, when I looked into Polygon early on, what impressed me was how clearly it targeted Ethereum's scalability problem. It wasn't just another token, it had a reason to exist. That gave it staying power. The next step is understanding the team. This is where you dig into the people behind the project. Who are they? What have they built before? Do they have LinkedIn profiles, GitHub accounts, or previous projects that show real experience? Or are they anonymous with no history? Now, anonymity in crypto isn't always a red flag. Look at Bitcoin's creator Satoshi. But for most projects, I want to see some track record. If a team has already built successful products, raised funding, or has strong industry ties, that builds confidence. If I can't find any information about the team, or if they've been associated with scams before, that's a hard pass. Then I look at the community. Crypto lives and dies by its community. I'll check Twitter, Discord, Telegram, Reddit. Is the community engaged? Are they asking smart questions? Or is it just spam, memes, and moon chants? A healthy community doesn't just hype the token, they discuss the technology, the updates, the partnerships. They hold the team accountable. If all I see is blind hype and promises of Lambos, I know it's more of a pump and dump than a serious project. Once I'm confident in the fundamentals, I dive into the tokenomics. This is one of the most important and most overlooked parts of research. Tokenomics answers the question, how does this token actually work? What's the supply? What's the distribution? How are tokens unlocked over time? If 80% of the supply is held by the team and early investors, guess what? They can dump on the market and crush retail buyers. I look for fair distribution, transparent vesting schedules, and real utility. A token should serve a purpose beyond speculation. Maybe it's used for gas fees, governance, staking, or securing the network. If the only reason to hold it is number go up, that's not sustainable. Another piece of tokenomics is inflation and emissions. I always ask, is the supply capped or inflationary? Bitcoin, for example, has a hard cap of 21 million coins. Ethereum has dynamic supply with burn mechanisms that sometimes make it deflationary. On the other hand, There are tokens with unlimited supply and aggressive emissions. Those can bleed value over time. Understanding this helps me avoid tokens designed to dump on holders. Now comes the partnerships and ecosystem. This is where I see if the project is actually connecting with the wider crypto world. Are they working with other protocols? Do they have integrations with wallets, exchanges, or DeFi platforms? Partnerships aren't everything, but they show momentum. When I see a project partnering with big players like Chainlink, Coinbase, or other top protocols, that gives me confidence it's being taken seriously. If there's no ecosystem, no partnerships, no developers building on it, that's a bad sign. Technology and roadmap are next. I check what they've already delivered and what they promise to deliver. Are they hitting milestones? Is the GitHub active? Are developers actually building and updating? Or is it just words on a roadmap graphic with no progress? I've learned to look for proof of execution. Lots of projects have great ideas, but execution separates winners from losers. If I see consistent updates, active commits, and transparent communication, that tells me the team is serious. Security is another critical factor. In crypto, hacks are unfortunately common, so I check if the project has been audited. Who did the audit? Reputable firms like CertiK, QuantStamp, or Trail of Bits, or no audit at all. Even audited projects can have bugs, but no audit is a red flag. I also see how the team responds to issues. Are they transparent when problems arise, or do they hide them? A project that takes security seriously earns my trust. After all that, I start looking at the market context. Where does this project sit compared to its competitors? If it's a layer 2 scaling solution, how does it compare to Arbitrum, Optimism, ZK Sync? If it's a DeFi protocol, how does it compete with Aave, Uniswap, or Curve? Understanding the competitive landscape helps me gauge its chances of survival. Sometimes a project has great tech, but if it's entering an oversaturated space without a unique advantage, it's unlikely to win. And then comes valuation. This is where I ask, is the token fairly priced right now? I'll check market cap, fully diluted valuation, and compare it to peers. A project with a $50 million market cap has far more room to grow than one already at $5 billion. But low cap also means higher risk. I balance potential upside with risk by comparing metrics. For example, if two projects are solving the same problem, but one is 10 times cheaper, that might be the smarter bet, assuming fundamentals are solid. Now, once I've looked at all these factors, the team, the community, the tokenomics, the partnerships, the roadmap, the security, the valuation, I ask myself one final question. Do I actually understand it? If I can't explain to a friend what this project does in 1 or 2 sentences, I don't invest. That's my personal rule. If it's too complicated for me to understand, it's probably too complicated for me to trust with my money. Let me give you an example. When I first researched Chainlink, I was fascinated by the problem it solved. Getting real-world data onto blockchains through oracles. The white paper made sense. The team was credible. Partnerships with DeFi protocols were strong. And the token had real utility in securing oracle networks. I could explain it in a simple sentence. Chainlink brings off chain data to smart contracts. That clarity gave me conviction. And that conviction is what allowed me to hold through volatility. On the flip side, I've seen countless projects that sounded exciting but fell apart on research. I'd read the white paper and realized it was just marketing fluff. I checked the tokenomics and see that insiders held most of the supply. I look at the community and find nothing but bots and hype. Research saved me from throwing money into projects that collapse later. When the next shiny token is trending, instead of blindly buying, you'll know exactly how to cut through the noise. You'll know how to separate signal from noise, substance from fluff, and you'll invest with confidence, not FOMO. So the next time you hear about the hot new project that's going to change the world, take a step back. Pull up the website, read the white paper, dig into the team, check the community, analyze the tokenomics, and ask yourself if it all makes sense. That's how you protect your money. That's how you position yourself for real gains. Crypto is one of the most exciting, fast-moving industries in the world. Fortunes will be made and fortunes will be lost. But if you take the time to research, really research, you give yourself the best possible chance of being on the winning side. So that's how I do it. That's my exact process. Not glamorous, not clickbait, but effective. And if you apply it consistently, you'll start to see patterns, spot red flags faster, and build conviction in the projects worth holding.